Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to add a random zipper pocket to a pattern that doesn't necessarily call for it. There are lots of different ways that you can add pockets. If you don't like this method, I'll show you different methods in the future. This is just one way to do it. I'm going to be adding a zipper pocket to a super simple tote bag, and it's going to be an up and down one. But it works across, it works inside linings, it's all kinds of stuff. So it's just really simple. There's no overlay involved. This is just when you want to add pockets and the pattern doesn't tell you to put a pocket there. This is one way to do it. So check it out. Now, once we've got our box sewn all the way around, and it's kind of hard to see because I use coordinating thread, so it's black thread, I'm going to measure 1/2 inch in from that stitch line. I'm going to draw myself a little triangle here. Like that. And take my rotary blade and I'm going to cut all the way through. But I'm not going to cut beyond that triangle point. Instead, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut along those lines into the corners, but be super careful not to cut into your stitches. Okay. Now we're going to take our pocket liner and we're going to flip this inside out. And I'm actually going to take it over to the ironing board. And I'm going to carefully iron each seam. And something I like to do is, as it's flipped, I'm going to iron this flat first and then fold it over. And what that's going to do is it's going to help stop it from like doing this. You might still see some of the purple, but it will be pushed farther back that it will look cleaner when you're done. So let's head over to the pressing mat and do that. Okay, so I've got my liner pulled all the way through. And just like I talked about before, I'm going to take my iron. Careful not to burn the crap out of yourself, which I do pretty frequently. Okay, you see how nice and flat that is? Now, I can fold it back, and I have nice long sharp nails. Gonna tuck that perfectly into the crease, and now I can iron over that section. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing for each of the points. Making sure to pull everything nice and tight. Oops, sorry. Keep hitting that. Okay, you see how nice and flat that lays? Then I'm going to flip it over just so you can see. And look at how clean that line is. Now, can you still see some of the lining? Sure. Okay, but you don't have the big puckers that I see in a lot of people's stitch work. Okay, so that is one way to really get that lining as far back as possible. So now it's time to put in our zipper. Okay, getting pockets to remain where they're supposed to be can be a little tricky. So one thing I'm going to do is I am going to take some 1/8 inch, it's the smallest double-sided tape I have, and I'm just going to secure the very edges that are not going to be sewn while we're putting in the zipper or anything. This is just going to help make sure that the lining doesn't move on me when I'm installing the zipper, and we'll take it out before we get to the rest of the pocket. Just gonna stick that down, and we are gonna take it out. It's not a big deal. I use just little teeny pieces on the edges here to the very, very, very edge. And then I'll stick it down. So I'm just going to do that for my 4 little spots, just so that it's nice and secure. Now it's time to put the zipper on. So I have my length. This is a number 5 nylon zipper tape. It's pretty much the only kind that I ever use, and that's why all my zipper boxes are going to be a 1/2 inch. Great thing about nylon, I'm going to take a lighter. See those frayed edges? The tape will unravel, so we're just going to heat seal. See that? And we're going to do it to both sides. Now you're not trying to start a fire, you're not trying to melt the interior, you're just melting the little bitty fibers on the end. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can put on a zipper pull. The right way is to undo the ends and put it on like this. I am going to show you the not right way because I think it's easier for beginners. So you'll need some kind of pointy little tool. I like to use my stiletto. If you've got pointy nails like me, you can use your nails. You can use a chopstick, whatever. So make note of which tine is on top. So in this case, it's the left tine. Actually, I prefer the right tine on top, but I don't have any with a right tine on top. So it's the left that's on top. What I'm going to do, I am going to put my zipper on the end like that. Okay. I'm going to take my stiletto, and all I'm going to do, see if I can get it to focus. See how it's in there? But this bridge here, which is the part that's going to zip your zipper up and down, is in the way. So I'm just going to come in and separate my zipper. I just pull lightly. Until it pops on. Okay. And now, what I'm going to do, I remember I said the left was on top. Just gonna pop that sucker back into place. And I'm just gonna do that down a little bit. I just got my nails done today, so it's a bit harder. Okay. And there you go. Now this end is on, and that's on. So that's the wrong way to do it, but I think that's easier for most brand new bag makers. And now let's show you the other way. The other way, the right way, is harder for me. So I'm just gonna pull that off. The right way, again, I wanna make note of which side is on top. See, the left hind is on the top. I'm just gonna open up my zipper a little bit. I'm gonna point my zipper down. And my issue with this is that because of my nails, I have the hardest time getting this to line up properly. See? And this is what's so frustrating for new bag makers, is the lineup. And you can see I've made bags for years and I still hate doing it the right way. Did I get it? Haha, I got it. Okay. See, and then you can just pull it down to where you want it. So that's the other way of putting it on. Now let's actually sew it to the bag. Okay, so now I've got my zipper and I have my lining, and I remember I have it taped out of the way. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark my centers. So this is a 10-inch pocket. So 5 inches in is the center. And really, if I wanted to be picky, I could just go and double check. And yeah. So there's my center. I want this to be laid down perfectly centered again. So I need to know where the center of my zipper tape is. I'm going to fold it in half. Some chalk is better. I'm just going to mark my centers on my zipper tape. Now, this stuff, remember, is our friend. We're going to take the 1/8 and we're just going to do it all the way at the very, very, very edge. This is just going to help hold it in place. And I'm going to do it on both sides. At the very edge of my zipper. Okay. Now I can position it. I'm going to take our double-sided tape off. I decided that I think I'd like it better if my mark was on the front. It's just a bit easier to line up those centers. And I'm going to position it so that the tape piece is in the centers of the top and bottom of the box as well. And I'm just going to stick that down as best I can. Now I'm going to sew all the way around the box. Okay, the foot you see here is a zipper foot. I'm going to hold my tail. I'm going to increase my stitch length. I'm going to do the pull through method because it looks nicer in a top stitch on a thing. So we're not going to back stitch. We're just going to notice by using the zipper foot, I don't really have to move this out of the way much, if at all. I'm going to cut it out. Okay, so now I've sewn all the way around the box. I used black thread so you can see it, but you can see that it's not necessarily the cleanest stitch, which is why I recommend always matching your thread as much as you can to your back fabric, because no one's going to notice or care. You're going to pull on your threads on the back, and you can see when I did that, a little loop came up. I'm going to grab that loop, pull it through. I'm going to do the same thing for this one. A loop came up. Whoop, not that loop. Wrong loop. There it is. If I can get it. No, that's not the right loop either. Where's my loop? Sometimes I can't find my loop. There we go. I found it. So now I have 4 strings, and I'm just going to tie it off. Sorry, that took way longer than it should have to find my silly little loops. And we're just going to tie it off. Ta-da! On to the next step. Okay, so now that the zipper is firmly installed, we're going to flip it back over. And the first thing we're going to do is cut the excess of our zipper tape. Now, not all the way down, but just enough. Very carefully, I'm going to peel it back and heat seal again on both sides, because see, when you cut it, it'll start to fray. Don't burn yourself, don't burn your fabric. Now we're going to come back in and remove the double-sided tape that we put down. It doesn't need to be there anymore. It's just gonna take that off because we don't want to sew through it either. Now we're going to take your second pocket piece and we're going to lay it down directly over the top and pin and clip it to this back piece. So at the sewing machine, you're going to take your project side up. You're going to fold the top out of the way so that all you're sewing is the pocket. And we're going to sew all the way around the outside of the pocket. Can remove my pins. And I have a fully enclosed pocket. You can trim down your seam allowance if you want to. But there you go. And that's how you add a pocket.